people up. They're trying to tell people that everything is perfect. And I gotta say, they're having really solid holds domestically at the box office on Monday, Tuesday, and we'll see what Wednesday holds for them. And it looks like they'll probably have a pretty good hold over the weekend as well. There's some families and some kids, some positive reception for this movie. But there is something that everyone wasn't talking about initially. They're starting to bring up now, and that's the international numbers. Now, I talked about that for the opening weekend because I thought $125 million domestic, I think that's an okay opening for them. Certainly not blowing the roof off of anything. But that $220 million global total is fairly low for this Superman movie.
A new Superman movie was supposed to be the rebirth of everything, the official launchpad for James Gunn's reimagined DC universe. With months of hype and a carefully crafted marketing campaign, fans were told this was the start of something massive. And at first glance, things looked promising. Domestic numbers came in strong. Critics were cautiously optimistic. Warner Bros. Even took a premature victory lap, celebrating the film's opening weekend like it had already saved the franchise. But behind all the high fives and headlines, there's a problem no one wants to admit.
One here or there, but certainly has caused some controversy. Well, now James Gunn decided that just a few days before the release, he would go out there and talk more about this movie, reveal more about this movie. And there's going to be a certain portion of people who probably do not want to hear this. James Gunn confirms Superman is about politics, immigration, and the decline of American kindness.
One that could quietly derail the entire DCU before it even gets off the ground. Because while everyone's focused on US ticket sales, the international numbers are sounding the alarm. And if they don't turn around fast, the global box office might be telling a very different story, one the studio isn't ready to face. When Superman Legacy hit theaters, it wasn't just another superhero movie. It was the cornerstone of James Gunn's entire 10-year DC reboot. Warner Bros. Made that crystal clear. This was the one, the film that would set the tone, the world, and the momentum for everything that follows. And to be fair, the US box office opening wasn't bad at all. Pulling in $125 million domestically, it showed that audiences were at least curious about this new vision.
For this Superman movie, it just is. There's no two ways around it. To put it in perspective, Ant-Man 3, Ant-Man, opened at $225 million worldwide just 2 years ago. So this is fucking Superman. We understand it's a new universe, but this is still Superman and it's James Gunn.
Families showed up, younger viewers engaged. Social media buzzed with early reactions. And in typical studio fashion, Warner Bros. Wasted no time spinning it as a massive win. Headlines praised the launch. Execs celebrated publicly. And insiders whispered about a potential franchise revival finally gaining steam. But while the domestic celebration was loud and confident, something else was brewing quietly in the background. Something that wasn't part of the marketing script. Here's where things start to unravel. While the domestic numbers gave DC a reason to smile, the international box office told a very different story. Overseas, Superman Legacy pulled in just $95 million, a figure that's shockingly low for a character as globally iconic as Superman.
So that $95 million international haul was incredibly low, and now you're starting to find some people that are talking about this. Superman's box office, DC's reboot, is off to a stellar start with one lingering concern. And that lingering concern is basically half of your potential box office market. It has everything to do with that international run.
The worldwide total barely reached $220 million. And for a franchise reboot of this scale, that's not just underwhelming, it's alarming. To put it in perspective, Ant-Man 3 opened with $225 million globally, and that movie was labeled a disappointment. This isn't some obscure indie hero. This is Superman, one of the most recognizable faces in pop culture history. Yet, international audiences didn't show up. And the worst part? No one saw it coming. Instead of building global momentum, the film is facing a quiet, slow burn overseas. And for a project meant to kickstart a cinematic universe, that's the kind of weakness that could turn into a long-term disaster. As the international numbers rolled in and eyebrows started to raise, the spin machine kicked into high gear. Warner Brothers and certain media outlets rushed to offer explanations, some of them bordering on bizarre. One of the more talked about theories, that global audiences are turning away from Superman because he's too American, and that lingering resentment from the Trump era has tainted the character's image overseas. Others pointed fingers at so-called superhero fatigue, claiming audiences are simply tired of capes and cosmic battles. But these excuses don't hold up under real scrutiny. Superman has been a cultural icon for decades, beloved not just in the US, but around the world. And let's be honest, when a franchise flops, blaming global politics or vague audience trends feels more like a distraction than a diagnosis. Instead of facing the issue head-on, it seems like the studio is more interested in rewriting the narrative before the dust has even settled. The idea that Superman has never resonated internationally just doesn't add up, and history proves it. Take Man of Steel, for example. That film earned $291 million domestically and a massive $378 million overseas. Eve, Batman v Superman, despite its mixed reception, pulled in over $550 million internationally. And yes, Batman was part of that film, but Superman was still front and center. Go back even further to Superman Returns. It earned nearly equal amounts at home and abroad. And perhaps the most surprising stat, the original Superman from 1978, made in an era when international box office numbers were typically small, still managed to outperform its US earnings globally. That's not a fluke, it's a pattern. Superman has always had international pull. So why is Warner Bros. Now claiming he's too American to succeed overseas? It's not about the cape or the country. It's about the connection. And right now, something's clearly missing. As criticism of the international performance grew louder, Warner Bros. Changed its tune. Suddenly, executives were claiming they always expected Superman to perform better in the US than overseas. Jeff Goldstein, president of Global Distribution, even said, Superman was very American-centric, almost as if that explained the weak international turnout. But this wasn't part of the narrative before the release. This is pure damage control. It's the same tactic used before when studios preemptively downplay box office projections to soften the blow. And let's not forget, the marketing campaign for Superman Legacy deliberately removed truth, justice, and the American way, swapping it out for a more global-friendly slogan. They were clearly aiming for international appeal, until the results didn't match. Now it's all about lowering expectations. But audiences aren't buying it. This isn't about geography. It's about connection, character, and execution. And something clearly missed the mark. The fallout from Superman's soft international debut isn't just a PR headache. It's a real threat to the entire DCU rollout. Even with optimistic projections, the film's domestic total might land somewhere between $300 to $350 million. But internationally, it's struggling to reach $250 million. That means the global total could stall below $600 million, a disappointing figure for a tentpole film meant to launch a decade-long universe. And this isn't just about one movie underperforming. It sends a signal to investors, to global audiences, and to competing studios. If Superman, the foundational hero of the DC universe, can't draw big global numbers, what hope is there for the lesser-known characters waiting in the wings? Every future project now carries extra pressure, and Warner Bros. Knows it. The box office isn't just a scoreboard, it's a warning sign. And unless the narrative changes fast, this reboot could be stumbling before it ever found its footing. Just as Superman Legacy tries to gain momentum, the release calendar is tightening and fast. Fantastic Four is on the horizon. And while it's a Marvel property that's had its share of misfires, the buzz around this reboot is massive. Other big-budget blockbusters are also stacking up, each one threatening to pull audiences away from DC's big gamble. Without strong international numbers to carry Superman through the coming weeks, the film could get lost in the shuffle. And unlike the Marvel machine, DC doesn't have a proven track record of bouncing back from weak starts. Every ticket not sold is one less reason for Warner Brothers to keep pushing forward with their long-term DCU plans. The clock is ticking, and with bigger competition circling, legacy might not just fade into the background, it could be trampled entirely. If Superman can't hold the line, what chance does the rest of the DC universe have? This isn't just about Superman legacy. It's about what the movie represents. An entire cinematic universe riding on the shoulders of one film. Warner Brothers positioned this as the foundation of a bold, interconnected DCU, a fresh start after years of misfires and missed opportunities. And yet, despite a solid domestic showing, the weak international performance exposes a critical vulnerability. Superman was supposed to soar everywhere. Instead, he's stumbling overseas, and that stumble could shake the confidence in everything that follows. Because here's the reality. If Superman can't capture the world's attention, what happens when DC tries to roll out riskier, lesser-known characters? These projects depend on momentum, brand trust, and global interest. Right now, all three are on shaky ground. The studio's attempt to downplay the issue, shifting blame and lowering expectations only highlights how uncertain they are about the path forward. James Gunn may still have big plans, but plans don't sell tickets. Results do. And the result so far is a half-hearted global reception to the most iconic superhero of all time. That's not just a warning sign, it's a wake-up call. If the DCU is going to survive, it needs more than domestic support and good intentions. It needs worldwide belief. Otherwise, the future of this universe might stay grounded before it ever learns to fly.